So this is a very interesting Supreme Court ruling today because I would completely agree with it if we weren't in the context of the Trump administration, which constantly issues executive orders that are blatantly illegal. What the court said today is that you can't do a nationwide injunction unless you have a class action lawsuit, which means you have to get a class certified, and that class has to be certified nationwide, which is a very high bar to clear. When previously it was just individuals bringing their cases and having their rights protected, and judges saying, well, if we're protecting this right for this person in this case, then why shouldn't we protect it for people all around the nation? So that becomes a nationwide injunction. And the problem with that, although the logic it's very logical on its face, the problem with that is that you can go hunting for judges that have different ideologies and get your nationwide injunction, and other courts can't really do anything about it until there's like a higher ruling. But so that's the issue with nationwide injunctions, and they still can happen. They just have to be class action. So the issue with this, there wouldn't be any issue with this if we had any other president, but for things like birthright citizenship, like injunctions, nationwide injunctions like that are very much needed. Asylum nationwide injunctions too, right? Because these are very open and shut cases. They're very open and shut cases, so I would agree with the nationwide injunctions there. We're just not used to presidents issuing executive orders like they're some kind of like decrees from God and expecting them to be law, even though they're blatantly illegal. Like, I think the Supreme Court, so basically the birthright citizenship thing is going to have to stand until the Supreme Court makes a ruling on it, I believe. And the ruling should be very open and shut. I don't know if any of the justices would dissent there, because the 14th Amendment is very clear, and you can see in the arguments of the 14th Amendment back in the 19th century, they clearly intended for this birthright citizenship to be the case. Right, all the obscure interpretations of that clause are completely unfounded. So they will make a ruling on it. Other things that are important, like fund impoundments and asylum. I don't know the nature of those cases right now, but I would have to think that most of them aren't class certified for a nationwide injunction. Like, they're probably just bringing their case between two parties and then hoping that they would be extended nationwide. Like the ACLU's cases against asylum, I don't know the exact status of those, but it's important that they get ruled on, because the Trump administration's asylum orders in its first days blatantly illegal. All the fund impoundments blatantly illegal. All of the impoundment of the EV infrastructure that was ruled illegal by his accountability office. It's illegal, blatantly. And I'll think of all the time, like when he didn't turn back the flight of Venezuelans, that he didn't give their proper due process. Illegal. When he sent people to Sudan, a country that wasn't even issued in their removal orders because their home countries didn't want to accept them, and they didn't give them any fear interviews for Sudan. Illegal. Not giving anyone any fear interviews, period. Illegal. So there's a lot of stuff that we need quick action on, and we're not going to get that quick action because of this ruling. Unfortunately. Like, this is not in any way comparable to any other presidency, because this has never happened before, besides maybe in Trump 1, although I didn't follow Trump 1, because I was very young. But, yes, overall I agree with the logic. I read some of the majority opinion, and it was pretty sound. They made most of the same arguments that I made, right? You can, this one judge shouldn't be able to exceed the authority of the executive, right? If we swap the kind of dynamic of insanity around and presume that we have a reasonable executive and an insane judge, then yeah, this ruling is very helpful. But right now we have several sane judges and an insane executive. So it's like it's not ideal. But I think this is also going to kind of negate the provision in the Big Beautiful Bill that would prevent people from bringing cases against the executive or the function of the executive without posting bond. That was supposed to be like a pseudo way of limiting cases against the Trump administration's ability to enforce its executive decrees. And that won't be needed anymore, I believe, because this is going to solve most of that. Unless they get class certification, and I believe that they already post bond for that. I don't know exactly, but I even watched the video I have up right now. Amy Coney Barrett calling out Justice Jackson. She's probably complaining about how she's voting on like ideological lines, which is absolutely true. Like, all the dissenters here have no place, no place to dissent in this ruling. It's pretty obvious, right? You can point out obvious cases where they would totally agree with Amy Coney Barrett in the majority, right? It's just the current government that they don't like, which I don't like. That is getting in the way of their ruling, which is not how the Supreme Court is supposed to work. The judges are supposed to be independent, supposed to be ruling on the facts and the facts alone, not politics. So, of course, that's an issue on the conservative side too. They make absolutely wild rulings, like the Trump versus United States ruling that gave the executive essentially complete immunity. He can't even use his unofficial actions as evidence for his official crimes, right? And zero prosecution is allowed on official acts or core powers unless you can prove it would cause zero constraint to the power of the executive, which is like such a weird constraint that Roberts set up there. But yeah, there's problems on both sides of the ideology of the court. There's problems on the left and the right there, and they won't rule honestly, which is a big problem. But good ruling, but unfortunate timing. That's my takeaway.